I want to try the topicless pod which you suggested.
You will retire the topic?
The topicless without topic.
Okay. Yes, I love that. Let's see what happens. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. How do you feel about that? Does anything come up?
Exciting. Like the newness and aliveness. There's a quality of presence when I imagine it.
When you look imagine it, you mean like you look forward at what could happen, not knowing.
Just a thought itself, the immediate reaction is like, there's nothing to do.
I I
Yeah.
always tend to respond to this the same way. It's like I'm excited when I come up with the idea of doing a podcast with no topic. And then when I arrive, there's also a little bit of anxiety. It's like, oh, what if this is boring for others? But actually, like, of course, you want it to be interesting, but it doesn't matter that much because if it is boring, they just won't listen to it. And we still have a conversation. We still
Yeah.
get to enjoy it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting. You thought about the people watching. I thought about you initially.
Yeah. That you were having thoughts about what I would think, or
Or how fulfilling would it be for
Hmm.
you?
Yeah, yeah, I see. I don't know. That's something I had zero doubts about, that you and I would have a good time.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's been almost a year since we have seen each other, like
Yes.
11 months or something.
Doesn't feel like so for me.
Oh, no, indeed. Um, yeah, so something I'd love to hear is what's been happening in your world beyond what we talked about. We occasionally
Hmm.
texted, right? So I do know some things. Um,
Yeah. Let's say a lot of systems dropped off, as in systems which I was following, of frameworks, or just generally we are inspired by a certain spiritual context or whatever it is. And then it feels like, wow, this could change my life.
mhm.
And we go and try to implement it. Somewhere there, I feel I have personally been molded into thinking the way others are thinking about it instead of using my own intelligence
In that process of using
or how I feel
others.
about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's how I've been living for the past 2 to 3 years. And recently, what changed, that dropped off. The more I tried to use my own intelligence, like what do I want to do right now, or how do I want to do this right now, even if that's different from the modality, the framework, or the system, whatever it is. So just doing that and more of that is bringing out my own essence in a
Yeah,
way. So that's the shift.
really excited hearing that. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I notice this is a hard thing for many people. Like when you find a framework that is serving you really well to kind of like transcend it without throwing it away and get really clear on what's moving me, and like you say, what's my own intelligence bringing to this, taking the best parts of all these frameworks you work with, but finding the ragavness, like the thing that connects them for
Yeah.
you, because they all pointed to parts of you in
Yeah.
some way, I imagine.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like from the childhood. Like if we listen to someone in authority and we listen to their wisdom and feels like, oh, yes, they're right. That becomes our right, like my right. Instead of even just sitting, feeling with it and what feels right in the body. It's very
Hmm.
intellectual conditioning which happens from the childhood itself.
Now that I'm hearing you compare this to the child and parents or teachers, whomever, you think this is a natural cycle of maturity?
Yeah, yeah, it could be.
I don't have the answer either, right? I'm just um, yeah, I'm curious about it. For me, I often had the in the other direction. Like I would for many years, most of my life, I would reject all frameworks. I would actively refuse to learn about them, and maybe because of the other way around, right? That I had issues with authority, and then with time, I learned like, oh, there's so much value in actually trying out and listening to what experienced people tell you. Like the only issue is me if I would get lost in it, right? But if I don't, if I stay connected to myself, then there's nothing wrong with following someone else's authority. I still have my own. It's my authority that chooses to follow them, right? Yeah, but that took me so long to figure out.
Yeah. I also had issues with authority, but in the opposite spectrum, as in this very submissive quality of me. As soon as I see authority, there's a fear and this, a sense of submission, so that I'm approved or I'm accepted.
Mm, yeah,
So that makes me immediately, oh, they're saying what they're saying is right, without even thinking about it.
immediately overriding your own intelligence. Is that
Yeah,
because if you would be right, or let's put it different, if you would know that something was wrong with their guidance, then you couldn't submit anymore and couldn't have the approval anymore? Or am I?
yeah, yeah. I will be like rejected or left out,
Yeah,
or I won't have anything else to hold on to. So these authority figures or systems were like, oh, something to hold
like
on
to
to.
make reality more safe because there is someone out there that can tell us. Don't worry, this
Yeah,
is how it
yeah,
goes. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. It feels no matter what topic I go into, it always comes back to this deep sense of if I let go of all that, then I have to sit with a sense of emptiness or loneliness.
Mm.
So, all of that to prevent feeling it.
So the loneliness comes up or used to come up, I don't know, like when you let go of all the authority seeking, all the clinging, all the certainty. That's when
Yeah.
you feel it.
It still does. Earlier, it was actually loneliness, as in, oh, I need people to hold on to. Then it switched to, let's say, systems or spirituality, which I was holding
Uh,
on to.
like I know that this is not your spirituality, but like when you would be like, how could I ever be lonely when God is always here for me? Something like that. Yeah. I
Yeah.
have felt that many times. Like, I'm not even religious, and that has come up for me. In my deepest loneliness, I would feel like, but God is holding me. And maybe that's
Yeah.
true, and maybe it's cope. I don't know, but it's interesting that those can couple.
It I kind of used it as scope in the sense that when it was really like during COVID, it really hit me hard.
Hmm.
So then like I kind of used this, maybe I experienced momentary feeling of oneness, or the essence being the same, like expansiveness.
Mhm.
And I held on to that, and I was able to access that very quickly, like in a snap somehow. So every time I feel discomfort, I would snap into
Huh.
that feeling of oneness as a coping mechanism. And it worked
I mean,
for
as
a
far
long
as
time.
coping mechanisms go, it sounds like a fun one.
Yeah.
Some people end up in the gutter because of their coping mechanisms, but in your case, you know,
It worked. It really worked for a long time. But then it felt like peace, but very dead
very
peace.
much.
The peace wasn't. It was
Yeah.
dead. It wasn't
Okay, got it.
alive.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's just like, oh, I have nothing. bothering me, but I don't also have anything that's exciting
Hmm.
me or making life move through me.
That yeah, that difference between aliveness and deadness, it's really striking me. I'm thinking of like sometimes I follow my aliveness and it's a curiosity. Curiosity comes up and it wants me to investigate something intellectually. And I follow it and it's so alive and lots of joy. But if I really stay attuned to that aliveness, there's gonna be a random point where just like, okay, this was enough. And then and then I go dancing, right? Or whatever.
Yeah, yeah,
But there's also a form of curiosity that feels almost the same, but there's a deadness to it where I'll end up like reading lots about a topic. And the moment that I feel my body, I realize that like nothing is moving me in there. Like not there's nothing engaging me. I'm not being pulled into it. It's like the curiosity got hijacked and it's purely an escape. Well, not it's almost like
yeah,
flooding my senses, right? Where like, oh, if I think enough, I won't feel. But I don't know that. The difference is if I notice that the thinking is dead, that there's a deadness to the thinking or to the reading, or then I know that I probably would do better not not engaging with it. Um, yeah, so it's interesting that that came up in
yeah.
the oneness experience for you, like an alive oneness and a live and a dead oneness. What's a dead oneness like?
Feel like it's like the opposite of, or like having no jest for life.
Hmm.
It's like a form of numbness where it doesn't. Yeah, it's form of numbness
So it's
basically.
a bit like, okay, I'm going to say this if it's wrong, just throw it away, but it's almost like accessing
Yeah,
inner peace through apathy. You go through like not caring, and then because of that, there is peace. But then in the life, peace is loving
yeah,
and
yeah,
expansive.
yeah. It's like a lack of involvement, like losing out on involvement in anything.
Yeah.
Then
Oh, yeah.
there's a sense of peace in that,
Yeah. Like, get
but
it.
that's
Yeah.
dead.
Yeah. Like sometimes, like in meditation, you have these different states, right? Where sometimes it's that, like you're completely non involved and it's so peaceful. But then there's another way where what makes it feel so good is that you're completely plugged into life and into the world and you're feeling all the aliveness, and whether you move or sit still it's the same. It's like one life. Yeah,
But that was not the feeling which I was feeling. That aliveness wasn't
yeah, so
there.
the first one. Yeah, so it's still a good
Yeah,
feeling, but it's detached a little bit.
as in like the loneliness which was bothering me wasn't bothering me
Hmm.
anymore. So that felt like peace, but it wasn't aliveness as well. Just like not the pit
Yeah,
or not the extreme low, nor was it oh me feeling me riding the wave. There was no wave at all. It was like mostly stagnant kind of a feeling.
it's interesting that you found that during COVID. Like for many people that was a low time or a high time, and like you managed to land on this thing that just sustained you through it, I imagine.
I was going through a low time, so that low time went even lower
Okay.
during
Okay.
COVID. So then somehow I could bypass that and
And
come back to
what
this
was it?
sense which wasn't fulfilling.
What was the situation like where you lived? Were there like strict regulations or?
Yeah, there was a feeling like every relationship I had was kind of falling apart.
Mhm.
Or I started seeing them falling apart because I was more aware now. I wasn't fully busy trying to achieve things because it was COVID and there was a break. So I had more time to sit with myself, which was very uncomfortable. And I also was COVID positive, so I had to
Okay.
sleep on the sleep on the bed in quarantine for 14 or so
Yeah.
days. So physical body was paining like hell. Emotionally, I was at really low. Mentally, it was chaotic. So all three aspects were really pulling me down. So at that time, I thought, okay, now I'm going to take a different look at spirituality and start questioning everything.
Mm.
And I was really familiar with the oneness concept in India. So I was like, oh, let's explore that for real. Somehow I could, or let's say I just, here also the same pattern. I used the authorities' words and started believing in
Mhm.
them, to get out of this hell. So that belief became so strong that I started actually feeling it.
So yeah, so that's kind of the power of the authority, right? Like,
Yeah.
like it pulls you in until you can find yourself.
Yeah.
And were there any big figures that you look to for inspiration?
Less about figures and more about the fact that, oh, like this scripture has been there for thousands and thousands of years, one of the oldest,
Yeah.
and it's still here means that there's something to it. There's authority in that longevity
So you went
of the
to
Indian
to
scriptures.
Vedic scriptures, or
Yeah, you can say
yeah,
Vedanta and stuff
because
like
I
that,
I
Upanishads.
I find them very inspiring as well.
Yeah. So that acted as an authority. And yeah, there were authority figures as well who translated that in a way that uplifted me. But there's just that finally giving in and believing in that,
Yeah.
which shifted a bit. And it was fulfilling I thought, oh, this is it for a long period of time until reality hit. I was like, oh, I'm not even present in the reality. I'm in a fantasy which feels real.
But it's a pleasant period, right? When you have this sense that you like, I finally figured out everything there is to know about life. It's the attitude of
Yeah,
those. It's like it's
yeah,
blissful, no? Like, yeah,
yep. It more than this, it was a sense of relief
really.
from the pain or suffering.
Yeah, it's wild. All these different states that we can go through and how they shape the way we experience the world and connect in it.
Yeah. I noticed there wasn't any movement of emotions happening. I wasn't feeling the range of emotions within me during that time.
Hmm. That's what you refer to also as the deadness. Now that
Yeah,
you feel more
yeah,
feelings, you feel more alive.
yeah, yeah. That's I think that's the point because emotions in a way is also energy.
Mhm. Yeah, and
Yeah,
it's movement and story, right? Like you wouldn't watch a movie that is like, okay, welcome to the main character. He has no problems. Now you can watch for 1 hour as he sits on a chair.
yeah,
Yeah.
boring. And now I started finding joy in sometimes if I feel lonely and I lean into it, there's a sense of joy in it.
In the loneliness.
Like, yeah, or in the melancholic sadness,
Mm.
or in the helplessness.
Sadness can be really beautiful and pleasant, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
It's like a really good sad song. It's like it can like really activate my heart in a way that few other emotions
yeah,
can. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I wouldn't want it all day.
It feels very creative as well. Like I want to create something in those times.
Ah, because you are moved by this melancholy. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
That was a state when I used to play music. Well, I still play music, but I used to write songs a lot. And I think most of the time was only in later years when it changed a bit. sadness was what moved me. Even if this song was not sad, like the inspiration came from a state like that. Just puts me in touch with my heart, and it makes me reflective. Then the melancholy like brings me to the past, and that was really fertile soil, like to create from.
How is it now?
Well, I don't dedicate a lot of time to music anymore, but the last period when I was still writing, I think that was actually during COVID, which was a fairly happy period for me. And what moved me then was like gratitude and integration. So integration being if I would like feel the good and the bad at the same time, that really moved me, like this tension. And then the other was gratitude, but I guess that's linked. Like it's the end of grief. Inside the sadness is like a love for, the thing that I
Yeah.
lost or that isn't here. So I accessed it that way. I would find like, oh yeah, this sadness, like it can really bring me to love, and then I can write from love or from appreciation. Um,
Yeah.
or if I was sad, seeing what another person was going through, and one thing, there's a one thing to take their experience away, which I won't and I can't. It wouldn't serve them either. But I can write about that, like how their sadness moves me and how that actually shows me I love them and want to care for them. Yeah, I miss that at times writing songs, but it's just like there are only 24 hours in a day. So if a song arrives
True.
randomly, I will write it, but I'm not going to sit down and wait for inspiration to strike.
Yeah. I heard this from a lot of people, like a lot of artists. They, they generally say that it mostly comes out of sadness or especially heartbreak and stuff like that. So I was wondering, why is it always this extreme of
Yeah.
emotion which brings out creativity?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess it makes sense that it would be extreme, that it would move us to the point that we need to like make something external and put the emotion in it. But um, yeah, it's like a skill thing, right? Like sometimes, hear like a song from Bob Marley or something. I mean, he was also an activist, and he was speaking about a lot of misery too. But a lot of his songs are pure joy. And then I think like I love this music, and what would it take for me to channel my joy into music? Because I do feel a lot of joy, but it doesn't make me write songs, right? And so, like, what would it look like to have that move me into a song, um, or into a blog post or something like that? It's an interesting
Yeah.
exercise too.
Yeah. Is it that the joy doesn't hit as high as low the sadness gets, like as extreme?
It's like, oh, I think here's where it comes from. The joy, even when it overflows, it never reaches this point where I um, like max out capacity and need to externalize it, right? Feel like I need to. I can spread it, I can give it as a gift to people. And what's happening with sadness is like, wow, this sadness is so strong. I want to put a part of it into something else, like, and that will help me process it. Um, when I feel joy, I have these natural ways of processing it, right? Laughter, smiling, dancing, interacting with friends. But there's another way to look at it. It's like if I would process joy through art, it would be of service to the world. And I also don't really know exactly how to do it. So it would be really cool to see, like, can I consciously do that? Like, can I reverse that? Can I make joy something that, oh, now I'm gonna put it in here, and can I make sadness something where instead of making it into art, I allowed that to move me into, like, in tears and in hugging friends and asking for their space or whatever, like the same way that I do it with joy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
It feels like with sadness, it becomes like the body becomes a containment or a container. And then when it bursts out, it comes out through
Huh. Yeah.
creativity or.
That's interesting. So like maybe the art happens because of a resistance, right? Like keeping it contained. And then
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's also something else in that joy is such an acceptable emotion to share with people. Like naturally, when I feel sad, I tend to myself, and I know how to tend to myself. I remember one time when my dad had died, and for a period I was very sad, and so I would stay home more often. And then afterwards, my friend said, "We, it would be nice if you had shown up more often and just like cried and felt really bad, because that would have given us a sign that that's something that's okay for us to do together." And that really changed my perspective on this. But I still tend to myself.
Yeah. What do you mean by tending to yourself, as in like processing it on your own,
Yeah, it's like
or
I
just.
feel sad. I'm just gonna,
Yeah.
stay home, cry a bit, and not overstimulate myself. Yeah, I might do something that feels comforting, and then I'll go on. I don't feel sad a lot, but that's my natural response. Um, and it's interesting that my natural response with joy is go and meet people. So it's maybe even a learned response. I don't know. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I noticed that for me, sadness induces stillness or slowness. The emotion moves much slower. Therefore, I notice it more.
Yeah.
With joy, it's like just fast and I'm just excited and I jump,
Mm.
run around, and it gets utilized that way.
I think for me, they all exist like that. Like there's a slumbering sadness. There's a sadness that hits me. There's a slumbering joy that I usually don't express. It's just there, and I'm happy. And then the same with anger. Like anger can feel really acute, but it can also just be like on the under the surface, like this. Like I'm a bit grumpy, and then yeah.
Yeah. Does that feel like layers of emotion to you?
Yeah, there are definitely layers. I'm still learning about that, but it's almost like if I really pay attention, I'm always feeling every emotion in some way. Like they're all there as channels, and then some are louder than others. Um, I guess we could play with that even, and tune them. I haven't really tried that, but and then if I go really deep into one, sometimes I find the other one. Like going so deep into anger that I find joy, or going so deep, like we were talking about the sadness, right? If you go really deep into sadness, and there's this
Yeah.
gratitude and there's this beauty,
Yeah.
and that brings you into another emotion again. Yeah, it feels like this in my chest. There's this amorphous blob that has all like it's just all the emotions dancing. If I really feel into that, I just feel everything. But then if I'm going through my day, one is just more prominent, and it's usually the one that's in the background. Like, and I don't know how it gets there. Some days I wake up and I'm a bit more grumpy, and then others I'm a bit more joyful.
Yeah.
And if I pay
Yeah.
attention to it, it grows bigger and louder. You have that too?
Yep, very similar. When I wake up, yeah. So usually the same pattern happens. It expands when I give attention to it, and then the other extreme shows up at the end of it.
Yes. Yeah, that's so common. Indeed. I have that as well. Yeah. And then if we would make a story about it, we could stop that from happening, right? If I would wake up and say, "Oh, this is a bad day. I'm in a bad mood," then I'm never gonna hit that joy because I keep hypnotizing myself with that story. Yeah, I don't do that anymore, but I would do that as a teenager. I would be like, "This day is ruined," and then it just stops you from enjoying every next second that can still happen.
Something interesting I noticed with regard to this is that so the voice which says like this day is ruined. Along with that comes another voice for me, which is like, oh no, don't say that. Like, oh, we'll utilize this day. And that's what, in my opinion, is the resistance which stops me from actually leaning into that
Hmm.
emotion. Now, recently, I started experimenting with thinking, yeah, the day is ruined. Nothing good is going to happen.
And what?
And I actually tend to feel the emotion. And then I end up feeling joyful
Hmm.
and being more productive.
But if is it then that when you allow yourself to say it, you just allow the part of you that thinks it's ruined to be there, and that's what brings the joy? Or yeah,
It's the welcoming
yeah,
of that.
it's not that you actually believe the words; you're just letting yourself
Yeah,
speak them.
yeah, yeah. I believe it when the other voice also comes in, the one who is trying to fix
Huh. Yeah, yeah.
the negative voice.
Don't say that; it might be true. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
we're all crazy. If you like in some way, like everyone's just going through life, and we all find this normal that we have like on these random feelings and thoughts and there's so much about life that is super weird that we find so normal. Yeah. What?
The mundane feels very fascinating. The very way this functions, like wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like something I can't get over is like my heart keeps beating and my lungs keep breathing. I keep having thoughts. Like what is the thing that keeps that running or that started it? Because like when did my heartbeat start? Well, when I was in my mom's womb, I guess. But then her heart was beating, and that's what kept me alive. But at some point, all of that had to start, and it's still going. It's so crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the question which sometimes brings me to this sense of oneness or basically the essence.
Mm.
Oh, yeah. So basically, with those questions, it kind of challenges the identity. So it's like the identity becomes very loose,
Yeah.
and in comes a sense of, yeah, there's expansiveness.
Did you see a little glitch in the Wi-Fi right now, or was that me? Wait, something did happen. Everything is good now.
Yep,
Sorry for that.
no props.
I'm waiting. I'm kind of waiting for a new thread to emerge. I was first calling back to the last one, and then I thought, well, but that moment has passed. Let's see what's here.
Yeah. While you are gone, I was feeling so much. I noticed so much joy and vitality running through my system from the conversation.
Oh, hey, that's really nice.
So yeah,
I'm glad hearing that. It
yep.
makes me feel um, like a welcomed guest in your home. Yeah, appreciative of you sharing that too.
It has always been the case with whatever calls I've joined with you. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's like experiencing a refreshing moment from the past.
I always feel like things are easy between us. That there's not a lot of okay, a bit of a weird solution, but I just moved to a different room because I don't know what else to do. Sorry.
No props. I'm not sure if it's a Riverside thing or the internet thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's like generally the internet is very good here, um, unless I'm in a bad mood. It's not happening today, but if I'm in a really bad mood, like I swear to you, it messes with the Wi-Fi, messes with all electronic devices. Like I went to the dentist, and his devices would stop working because I was in such a bad mood, and then I tried to like relax myself, go to my happy place, and then it started working again. Yeah. Funny. So, what have you been up to for the last 5 minutes?
I was noticing how I'm enjoying this. Like, I'm not annoyed, I'm not. My mind is thinking, oh, how am I enjoying this? It felt very relaxing, the pause.
Huh. It's like a difference in how we relate to such things, right?
Yeah.
Like if someone is late, I I think, oh, nice. I have 10 minutes to just pause. Yeah, unless we have to catch a plane or something, right? But if it's just that, like we're meeting somewhere, they are late. Like it may not be a nice thing to do, but I don't mind. It's like okay, and it's the same with this. All right, it's a bit. It's not ideal that the Wi-Fi suddenly dropped during a call, but we got to pause. Yeah,
I also feel it, to me, somehow depends on the person as well. Like, yeah, if I'm imagining if it was someone with whom I have past baggage, which I haven't released or shared with that person, then I would actually get frustrated.
because it would take away that you know from that intention. Like you have to restart again.
It's like I have an image of that person, like, oh, like he would.
Oh, okay. So it's like if you're already a bit annoyed by some things that they used to do, then like that triggers it.
Yeah, that snaps.
Yeah. And in my case, you're like, I'm so happy I don't have to hear him. But
With you, there's. Oh, I noticed with you there is very little image attached.
hmm.
So it's like very loose or very free,
Yeah,
not fixed.
I have that with you as well. It's fun because we've spent a lot of time together in like intimate containers, but then you also see all these different sides of each other, right? So it's like I think there's less projection going on. Like I'm not holding you to an identity that I've made of you um, because I have already seen you move through many different states and insights and moments. Yeah.
Yeah. And with people with whom I have long history with, there's a lot of projections or
Yeah.
images or things they have done and the image associated with that behavior.
Yeah.
All of that coming back
Like when you hang out
and
with
snapping.
old friends and then you behave like
Yeah.
a younger version of you.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Yeah.
I've also had it like where that wouldn't happen. So I would meet someone I hadn't seen in 10 years, and I wouldn't get triggered back into my old self. I would just be my new self. But then they would treat me like I was my old self. And there was this really weird friction. And it makes sense. It's like a normal thing, right? They're trying to empathize with you based on what they know, which is you 10 years ago. Um, yeah. And then curiosity would fix that. But sometimes what we seek in old friends is comfort and the known, and that's why the curiosity isn't activated, but it could always be there. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly what I've been noticing as well. Like these days, I've been consciously experimenting with being in wonder, especially with those people I had such um, projections towards. That seems to help me feel those emotions associated with those projections
Mhm.
within.
It's also interesting, this part of um, like behavior, that behavior comes up, or parts of me that they bring out, and yeah, it really shows like how different I am just because of the people I'm surrounded with, or like things that I thought were my personality or the way they are, right? But it's like how I react to certain types of balls being thrown at me. If I have a friend that like throws this playful ball in a certain, then certainly this type of humor comes out, and then so that's really interesting. Um, and there are people that there's like wide variety, like even though like you've known each other for a long time and you can be like funny, serious, sad, it doesn't really matter. But then there are people who always cling back to this part of you that they really like. So they always engage that part. And then over time, if that part is not very alive for me, it feels weird to be in relationship with them. Have you ever had that?
Yeah, yeah. It's similar to what you shared about the old self. Doesn't have to be really the old version, but me showing a certain version of me to them for a period of time, and then no longer wanting to show that, or
Mhm.
I just don't want to. I moved on from that to something else. I explored this side, and this side is more engaging for me.
Yeah. Sometimes I like there's that happens to me with perception too. That where people like think they see something in me, and um, and it's not that there, or it exists but I'm not that interested in it. I'll try to give an example. Well, you know my work very well because we have worked together long. I think you read my book
Yeah.
as well, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
Not fully.
and I think you understand it quite well, that where it comes from. Like also because you've met me. People who have never met me sometimes reach out to me and they will say like, "Oh, I'd love to have a conversation with you because you are a very deep thinker, and I want to have like long." And then and I think like, "Oh, I'm really not interested in that." You would be surprised how little I think when I write. But you know this because
Yeah. Yeah.
you have worked with me.
Yeah.
Um, and that's interesting. But what also happens is that friends read, I don't know, my blog or something, and then suddenly they might think that I have that's how I am, that I am very thinky and reflective. But that's just because writing is a medium, where you use words and phrases. Yeah.
Yeah. This was something which always brings me back to the be yourself quote, which people say. It's
Mm.
like, or come back to your essence, your naturalness. I feel like, I wonder, there's a difference between the essence and the roles which we take on.
Yeah.
Let's say in work we are different, in with someone else we are different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. It's fascinating. I find it really fascinating. Um, and I recently wrote a bit about it, but I think there's more. It's like a role. So let's say you have an essence. This is what I understand. So I'm curious, maybe at any point, interrupt me with anything that you see differently or that you wonder about. Um, so we have an essence, right? And then we have a personality. And in a way, you could say that our personality is already a role in general. It's like
Yeah.
it's how we express our essence in relationship to the people who inhabit our social world. And as we grew up, like when this conversation started, you told me about that as well, like submitting to authority or questioning authority. Like these are ways that helped us keep that essence alive in some way while also surviving the challenges of the social world. So personality is a role, but then we get into these other roles too. Like at work, I don't know, if your role is manager, you have to find a way to use your essence to manage, whether it's teams or a project, but something else happens too. Being put in that role gives you certain parts of the essence of that role, which even if they were not in you, you can now channel those too, right? If you are president, you are not just President Raghav, right, who is doing Raghav stuff as president. Suddenly you're also the president, and you will have characteristics of presidents, things that get expressed through you that were not in Raghav when he was not president. I find it really wild. So, like, on one hand, roles are additional limitations because a president cannot or should not express certain parts of themselves. They should not tell the people, guys, I'm really worried we're going to die because, that's not going to go well because exactly why you mentioned this, like, why do we cling to authority? For certainty, for safety. So that part of themselves gets cast out for the role. And at the same time, there are things that the role gives. You know, Raghav, who's not a president, will never say, I think, will never say, like, we will now have a law that all of this happened. Like, you could say it, but nobody would care. But because you're president, suddenly that becomes a part of your personality where you think in laws and you think in military and anything like that. It's wild. Yeah. And it's the same with personality,
Yeah.
right? Like you can get so in your personality that you make all these choices like your persona thinks in social interactions, but your essence doesn't. uh,
Can you repeat that?
that like the personality thinks in social interactions, but the essence doesn't. So like a personality might say, wait, was that like, did that person not respect me? Was that rude? Should I be polite? Like your essence is never thinking of that. It's just expressing what it
Yeah.
is. So the personality is also a role. It's also limiting us and giving us new behaviors that we normally wouldn't have. How's that landing?
This makes me
Like a
really wonder
great
about what.
theory. I haven't really uh, dug through
Yeah,
it.
but from what you shared, it made me wonder about what essence really is. Because so far my understanding has been that, oh, okay, I never really contemplated on essence. Right? I was just different roles.
Yeah.
When let's say when we meditate or in a deep state of presence, or when we are, let's say, alone, when the role isn't playing much, then it feels
Hmm.
more closer to the essence. But I'm not sure what essence on its own is.
Yeah. You mentioned this earlier in our conversation, right? When we were talking about like the heartbeat and then how we are all connected through birth and death.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's your relationship to Vedanta now? Like do you find answers in that to some degree, or is it something you have
I
completely?
like the questions in that. It's the questions which really shake me, and yeah, it kind of shakes off the rigidity of
Yeah.
my identity.
I I really liked Nisargadatta Maharaj, and the reason he really influenced the way I write in some way. Where every time somebody asks him a question about that, he's like kind of rude, or he's just like, you don't have to think about that. Just like focus on your being. And I noticed that that does give me answers. It does give me like, oh yeah, that's true. Why do I have to know what my essence is when I'm already aware of it? And then that brings me just to it again.
That's what happens. I notice. So earlier, spirituality was something to attain. Now it has become. Now it actually brings me back to life. That aliveness which I was talking about. More involvement in the material somehow.
Yeah. And the
It's
material, when
interesting.
you say material, you mean the material existence of this world?
Yeah, material existence, like everything here, instead of just the existential. I was earlier used to just sit with the existential questions and just try to find answers. Now those questions are like identity breakers. Oh, you could see what's here and now.
Identity breakers. You have some examples of questions like that?
The question which you also asked, like, right, the basic one in that book is who am I? But I don't really ask who am I. I just it's like wondering about these questions. What's my essence? Or
Hmm.
questioning the why behind the existence, for
Okay.
which at least I don't have an answer.
Yeah.
So that brings me back to, oh, yeah, so this the the joy in the pointlessness. So there's no point, so why not
So like I
do
don't have to
whatever
go and find it.
lights me up? Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just gonna put this back where it was so I can stay in the
Okay.
call. I had this it was a trip, a little bit like it was the concept of ayahuasca, but instead of using ayahuasca, they mixed it with mushrooms, and then the rest was like the same ingredients of the brew, and it was a 3 day retreat. And yeah, I was processing something really painful for me, and and the trip was very beautiful. It was like not. It showed me a lot of all the darkness in the world, and in myself, and just anywhere, but somehow there was this love to it. And then I started very often I would see something and it's like, okay, I understand what you're showing me, but I like, and then I would ask whoever, like, was the God in my trip, like the authority. I would ask like, okay, now, but what do I do with this? Like, you're giving me this insight. What do I do with this? What does it mean? And then it would always like look in my face and point at me and say, anything you want to do, and then it would disappear. And every time
Yeah.
keep disappear. Like everything I asked, the question was always like,
Yeah.
just do what you want to do. Like,
Yeah.
why are you asking me? And it did it
Yeah.
hundreds of times until it just broke the
Yeah.
spell. Yeah,
Very similar for me. It brings that light-hearted playfulness in me.
You were working on something around play last year, right?
Yeah, I feel like that's become my essence now. It's not something I do,
Hmm.
as in a particular thing I do.
It's what you
It's like every
introduced
time I
me
ask
to.
these questions, it's like how you talked about the role
Mhm.
coming through an essence.
Yeah,
So it's like playfulness or the sense of what you shared. Do whatever you want. That's what drives
yeah.
my work now.
So that's what you express through whichever role that you occupy.
Yeah.
I'm reminded of what we talked about earlier in our conversation about like how was sadness and joy, and like how easy it was for me to turn sadness into a song, and then harder to turn joy into a song, but easy to turn joy into social experiences and harder to turn sadness into social experiences. So it's like those are roles that I can give the emotion. Am I going to give you the role of the artist or of the friend? And I guess the same is true. Like whatever our nature is, and whichever role we find ourselves in, if we are, um, master, servant, husband, street sweeper, find a way, like to that we can find a way to express our essence in that role, and that if we do it, it will always serve. Like it will serve whether we do it as a beggar or as a prince, right? Like because the essence is spread in the world somehow. And sometimes I wonder about that. Like for example, I have a career where I host workshops and give people social experiences, or sometimes through my reading. That takes up a lot of my time. If I didn't have that, if I would just wander the world and talk to people, would that be like a better, like what would be the most of service? And I don't know the answer. I don't know the answer. I'm still playing with that. Like there might be a day where I just realize that um, that work is not the ideal role or vessel for that essence to be expressed. Or I might conclude that it just, like what we just said, that it doesn't matter, that I can choose whatever I do and then express the essence through it.
Yeah. Yeah. It made me wonder, like, how does it. Oh, so you're saying the idea of work brings its own roles in it?
Yeah, yeah. And there's some things, right? Like if I am a service provider and people pay me, um, on one hand, especially through the internet, I can reach many people I would never reach. You and I would never have met without it. On the other hand, I myself am taken out of the equation a little bit. I'm in the background and a guide because the role I take on um, does mean I have to limit some of what's happening in me due to whatever responsibility, not alone projections, anything like that. Um, when I was in my 20s, I would wander the streets, or as a teenager as well. I would go out every day. I would go to a place and I would talk to people, and that's where a lot of my experience comes from. And I wonder, like, what if I would just be doing that instead of working? If I just, worked like in a part-time job in something, small, just enough to survive, but then had a lot of social time. On one hand, like, would it? I don't know how I would feel. I would probably feel less secure financially, but maybe more rewarded, like because I am more in the interaction. Um, and would I then still be offering the same impact to people or not? And in some ways more, because if someone pays me to work with me and then I serve them really well, it's a different kind of love they receive than if I were to just give it spontaneously, right? It's a it's a different nature. It both has more potential because there's a deeper commitment, but what's not there is like if it just happens randomly, then the love is more obvious. So there are like pros and cons because of those roles, and I'm still not sure like what's the best thing right
Right.
now. I'm sure that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing for myself. I would feel it if it's off, but I don't know what the future holds.
Maybe it could be a temporary experiment, like 7 days or 14 days.
Yeah,
But, but also makes me wonder about money and what comes with it.
yeah,
Because from what you shared, that seems to be the differentiating factor.
yeah. It is because everyone has a relationship to money too. Money means something to us, right? For some people, it's freedom, it's power, it's survival. Um, and so, if we give our money to someone, we give that to us, right? We give that to that person. It could
Yeah.
be I'm giving some of my life force to you, or I'm handing you some of my survival. Like I'm giving some of my survival in exchange for working with you, or some of my freedom or power. So that's really interesting. And with every person, that's a different dynamic, and it depends on
So,
so many
so
things.
that induces the responsibility on the person receiving it.
Yeah, and it's like, for example, in some cases, money can deepen and enrich the relationship. Like not only do we engage in this, we're also valuing each other's like time and energy and having this mutual sense of like abundance around it. But it can also be that money dehumanizes, right? Where
Yeah.
like one person is like, you are just a service provider, and I think you are just a client, and then it makes the relationship more narrow. And
Yeah.
all of those things are true at the same time. Like we have to remember our roles so that we can, but also we have to remember that we are not our roles, and we have to remember what money means to us, but also we can't get confused and think that money is real. It's so strange.
But how would it have been different in the barter system back then?
I
Like
don't know.
even there, there's something they're giving. They're giving their survival, part of survival in a way,
Yeah, I genuinely
in
don't
exchange.
know. It seems to me that money is a more elegant solution than bartering, um, because there is this external, like money has some externally recognized value internationally. It can be stored, right? Like if we barter a live cow for a table, and then the cow gets sick, and it leads to confusing situations. And money is subject to that, right? There's trade markets and all of that, but at least there is some universally agreed upon value, whether artificial or not. This is also what
Yeah.
makes it non-existent. It's all imaginary, but it does solve some of the challenges that would exist with bartering. Um, but money gets really confusing with debt and things like that.
Yeah, but with both the barter and the money,
Hmm.
like there's this exchange which is almost like a standard.
Yeah,
And what you shared about going with people and serving felt like, oh, this that standard has been removed. As in the exchange
yeah, because like
isn't really,
that's true.
yeah, there's
Yeah,
an expectation.
it's just an emergence. Like something is given, nothing is asked, and that's it. Yeah. And there's something I get, like when giving like that, I feel like I'm giving to myself too, in a way
Yeah,
that
yeah,
doesn't occur when it's an exchange. And at the same time, we still live in a world where if I would do only that and not make money, then that would
yeah.
I
That's what
would much.
fascinates me. Like,
Yeah,
what makes it different? What makes exchange induce a different feeling than just serving?
I guess only our relationship to it. I don't know. Yeah, yeah, because like there's nothing wrong with exchange, right? Either there's nothing wrong with a lack of
Yeah,
exchange. It's just like I don't know. I don't know the answer.
yeah.
So that's why I
I'm
think
wondering, is it possible that a person feels the same way serving without expectation as well as serving with an
perhaps like
exchange?
yeah, and maybe that's me. You know, taking my relationship to work and imagining that they are feeling it, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, like
yeah.
to
I
some
mean,
person.
I also feel it's true for
Yeah,
most cases, most people.
yeah. Also, some people would be really uncomfortable receiving without exchange.
What would you think of an ideal scenario
Of what?
where we assume that the relationship with money isn't as complex as it is
Yeah.
in today's world?
I don't know. To me, it's like if both people are happy with what is transpiring, that's it. Whether it involves money or not, if both people are genuinely happy with how that's going, then that seems ideal. And you?
I'm just thinking about I'm just going back to history. Were there really times where, like, what used to happen before the barter system?
Yeah.
I'm wondering about.
Like I mean, we don't really know what history was like. Um,
Yeah.
but sometimes I wonder about that. Like, wouldn't it be beautiful to live in a small group where everyone's just fulfilling their role, but that's it. Like, there's no currency. It's just like, oh, we know that um,
Yeah.
Raghav
Yeah.
is really great at tending to the land, so that's what he will do. And but then I can already see why the exchange system evolves from that. Like the moment that this happens, and then within the tribe you have two or three people who get really good at framing their role in a way that they have to do nothing but that they get to freeload. At some point resentment will grow because everyone's depending on each other for survival, but some are parasitic entities. um, yeah, I always like to think
Wow.
that the way the world is just a natural result of the way the world is. Like I can question it, but it's all happening because of how things shape each other. And who am I to think I know better?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I like the way it is right now and the way it's going to change. Just it's just very new to wonder about this because I never wondered about the exchange and what if the status quo changed. It wasn't
yeah,
that
yeah.
exchange anymore.
I'm really curious what's going to happen to the world in the next 5 years. Like I see you now. Like, do you also feel like we're on the verge of something big?
Yep.
Yeah, and maybe
Yeah.
it's not true, right? Maybe that's how everyone feels at some point, but it really feels like that.
I know a lot of people who feel similar. I'm
Yeah.
not sure if it's like a global thing
Yeah.
with the changes happening. But yeah.
Yeah, I guess I mean we're all more connected now with the internet as well. There is global cultural influence. Though sometimes I don't know, has this ever happened to you that you enter like you end up in a pocket of Twitter that is like very local and very far from home, somewhere the other side of the world, and then you see the culture of that country or place so embedded in the way they interact that it's like shockingly different and foreign. Like, whoa, that is not the world that I was aware of. It's a very different world. You ever had that?
I ne- I had that the moment I joined Twitter and started interacting with all of you. I was like, wow,
Yeah,
this is so different.
yeah. I don't know. It's like culture shocks by living in another country are one thing because that's just the cultural norms of interacting and you kind of get used to it. But on Twitter, you can really see the culture explicitly expressed because people are arguing, right? So you see the arguments that they use about relationships, about life, about health, um, and how different like they are. What was
Yeah.
something that shocked you the most as you joined and found you
I
say you
found,
guys I guess you mean with you guys you mean like Europeans or uh, I don't
yeah,
know.
like initially, I mean, I remember you because you are one of the few people I connected with. So,
Okay, yeah,
so that
yeah.
group is what I remember.
What was something that shocked you?
The very way you guys communicated,
Mm.
like the communication isn't the same here.
Is
That's how it felt. In my world, it wasn't. There was there wasn't much openness, at least with the people I knew back then. And here I saw more openness and more voicing out of what they were feeling deep within, or
mm.
they were more. Maybe because I joined kind of the spiritual space of Twitter, it was more heartfelt and
Mm.
coming from that place. Whereas my world previously was very intellectual.
Uh-huh. And is that changing now? Where like with the people in your daily life, are you also meeting more
Yeah.
yeah.
Again, that relates back to the shift you were saying. Like, I feel like it's actually shifting. I'm not sure if it's true or it's just my perception because of my world or my world has changed now.
Yeah.
It actually feels more heartfelt, like all over the place than
All
before.
over the place, like both your physical world, the internet,
Yeah, yeah.
you, yeah,
Or maybe it's just my perception has changed.
yeah. One thing I found wild is, do you watch the news where you are, or do you read local media?
Sometimes,
Okay,
not much. Yeah.
I didn't do that for many years, maybe 15 years, and now I occasionally do that. Also, like maybe 2 3 times a month, and it's so interesting because I get to see the culture of my own country from the outside by because I was not in that narrative, and now I can see like, oh, what's the how are journalists like writing about the events that I read, and I can see like people all over the world talk about it. Like how do people in my country talk about it,
Yeah,
and it's
yeah,
so interesting to see like anything from like bias, propaganda, just also funny cultural nuances in the way that I know that we speak and then how that shows up in journalism and it makes them miss the point. But I also get it because I have that culture in me, right? So it's so interesting.
yeah. I noticed that too. Added to that is that I actually have people like you and people from West Europe
Hmm.
and all over the world. that connection also influences or gives me a bird's eye view of, oh, otherwise, before knowing that, where I was like restricted to only Indian experience,
Mhm.
anything the reports would say would feel like, oh, that's how the reality is.
Yeah, yeah,
Whereas now I get to actually taste it by connecting with actual people as well.
yeah. And especially if all those people have different viewpoints, because then they're all pointing at
Yeah,
something and you get like a complex taste of it. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
It's also like a part of life I tend to forget. Like when we interact, I rarely think about the fact that we were raised in different countries. I don't really think about that because I'm just interacting
yeah,
with
me
you.
too.
But it affects us in some way, and we don't know how because we cannot swap experiences. Yeah. What's left here for us today? I notice we're nearing the end of time.
Yep.
Is there anything that wants to be expressed or
Wow. This reminded me of one of the exercises you did in our curriculum.
how did it go?
I think you had this as a prompt, what wants to be expressed or something like that.
Yeah, it could be. Um,
Yeah.
I still have that program listed out somewhere. I lately I make exercises the morning of the session, and I make completely new ones based on like what are the people going through, what's happening. Yeah,
So do you want to talk about that? Like you can share what you do with
yeah,
that idea.
sure. So what you were a part of was the 12-week program, right? And then you also did many of the Monday
Yeah.
workshops. Yeah. Um, so this this is an edge for me. I'm gonna try to. I have a real hard time explaining the essence of what I do, but I'm going to try and nail it. And then you can let me know if it's accurate with what you have experienced or not. And if it's not, you can correct me. Um, so I create spaces online or offline. And in this case, like most relevant would be online because we're on a podcast. There are Zoom calls, and then people come together. And I might either teach something about relationships or connection with yourself, connection with the moment, with each other, or there's sometimes no teaching, but the purpose is that we're there to deeply connect and to be present in relationship with each other. I also work with modalities that have focused on this before, like authentic relating. And then in a session, I create games for the people in it. Games are experiments. So we open a breakout room, and then there are some rules about how to have the conversation. When you come back to the group, we discuss what we learned. And the games are like playful ways to learn things that help us in our relationship to ourselves, to each other, through life, without being told what it is. You do the game and you experience it. And sometimes different people experience different things, depends on what they need. So that's why we get back and we discuss it. And how I'm currently doing that, I call it the connection dojo. So it's like a dojo as you have for martial arts, where you go and train, but instead of training in physical fighting, you train in conversation. And that could be anything from conflict, conversational presence, just vibing, socializing. It all depends. And there is a curriculum. Raghav has gone through it, which is like step by step learning these skills, but it's now self paced. So it's a video course, and then you follow it and you say, okay, in this session, I would really like to play some games around that. And then we play them together. And then once a week, there is also a session without curriculum that is pure relational mindfulness. I know this was very practical, but now I'm curious about you, Raghav. Does this match your experience? Am I
Yep,
underselling
yep.
anything?
It matches with my
Okay.
experience. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why this is hard for me to say it. And when I figure it out, I'm going to put it on my website and it's going to be good marketing. Right now, what I do is just at the bottom of my writing, I always tell people like, if you like this and if you want to join a place where you can practice it, here's how you can join it. But I don't have an actual page that explains it.
You said connection. I think that feels like, to me, the essence of your work, which I perceived.
Connection.
Connection with self and the other
Yeah.
in different ways and playfully.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's one way we really vibe, and that there's a playful attitude underneath both of what we do. Even if a subject can be serious, um, there's an approach of playfulness. Yeah. Anything you wanna say at the end of this? You want to tell
I want
people?
to say goodbye.
Well, I appreciate you inviting me for this. It was a fun way to start the day. I'm also observing how at the start there was a slowness and an easing into the day and like figuring out what's happening here. And now I feel like I'm in gear. Yeah, it was great to share morning coffee with you.
Yeah. I feel energized too. Thank you for lighting up my afternoon. I really feel lit up. Yeah.
Me too.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Wish you a great weekend.
You too.